Hey, do you want to be a completely different person in just 90 days? I mean, waking up in the morning with nothing but positive, genuine thoughts, not just of who you are, but where you are heading in life. Well, if you're anything like me, before I started this 90-day exercise, I was the person who woke up already behind. Phone in my hand before my feet even hit the floor. Brain spinning before I'd had a single thought of my own. Anxious by 8 a.m. for no concrete reason. And no matter what I tried, journaling, cold showers, motivational videos, I kept feeling like the same person, like I was dragging an older, heavier version of myself through every single day. Then I found this research and I found the window. You see, I discovered that there's a 10-minute window every morning that most people, including me for years, are completely wasting. And what you do with it is the single most powerful lever you have for changing who you are at a subconscious level. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is, exactly how to use it, and what happened when I used it. If you're new here, this channel is about the law of attraction, personal development, and the science of the mind, and building one that actually works for you. Quick promise before we dive in. This video is not going to tell you to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, take a cold plunge, and drink a green smoothie. There is nothing wrong with that, mind, but they're not going to be in this video today. Today, we're going after one thing that determines whether your identity actually changes or whether you just grind harder inside the same mental cage like a hamster going round and round and round. So here's what we're going to cover. Why the first 10 minutes after waking are neurologically unlike any other time of day. The story of a university study that rewired people's brains without them doing anything physically, and the 3-part morning practice that neuroscience points to: meditation, visualization, and emotional anchoring, and the one mistake that kills this for almost everyone. So let's go. So welcome back. Here's something your brain does every single morning that you probably never even thought about. As you're waking up, your brain passes through a very specific electrical frequency called theta. Roughly, it's 4 to 8 cycles per second. Theta is the frequency of deep drowsiness, early sleep, and this is the important part. It's the frequency your subconscious mind lives in. It's the same frequency that children's brains operate in for most of their early development, which is why things that you actually experience as a kid are encoded so deeply. In theta, the brain doesn't filter, it doesn't defend itself, it just receives. As you fully wake up, your brain shifts into beta, your alert, analytical, critical thinking state. Now, beta is great, you need beta. But beta is also a gatekeeper. In beta, when you try to tell yourself, I am confident, I am worthy, I am the kind of person who follows through, your brain looks at that and goes, really? Are you sure? Because last Tuesday, you didn't. And remember what your third grade teacher said? You see, beta defends your existing identity. But for a few minutes every morning, right after your alarm goes off, the gatekeeper isn't fully on duty yet. The drawbridge is still down, and what you feed your brain in that window bypasses the filter and lands directly in your subconscious. That's the window. And most of us slam it shut the second we reach for our phones. The moment you look at your phone, your brain snaps right back into beta and activates what neuroscientists call the default mode network. The default mode network is part of your brain responsible for deep thinking, regret, social comparison, and worry. Research consistently shows that this default mode network actually fires negatively in the first minutes after waking, especially if you're already prone to anxiety. You don't even realize it's happening. You just feel vaguely stressed before you've done anything wrong. But the good news is you can use that window for something completely different. I want to tell you about a study that generally stopped me in my tracks when I first read it. Researchers at the University of Chicago, they actually took a group of basketball players, you may have heard this, and divided them into 3 groups. Group 1 physically practiced free throws every single day for 30 days. Group 2 did nothing, sat on their hands, no practice at all. Well, that sounds great. And Group 3, they only visualized making free throws. They never touched the ball. They just sat quietly each day and imagined it. The weight of the ball, the arc, the swish, over and over in their minds. After 30 days, they measured the improvements. Group 1, of course, the people who physically practiced, they were up 24%. That makes sense. Group 2, who did nothing, had no improvement, which of course also makes sense. Group 3, however, the visualization-only group, was up 23%. Almost identical improvement to the guys who had physically trained. And this was from a practice that happened entirely in their imagination. A neuroscientist by the name of David Engelman has described this beautifully, I think. He said that the brain does not perfectly distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you visualize something with enough sensory detail and emotional engagement, your brain fires many of the same neural pathways as if it's actually happening. Neurons that fire together wire together. You may have heard that expression. Those pathways actually get stronger with every repetition, whether the input is real or imagined. Harvard researcher Alvaro Pascual Leon, he actually confirmed this with piano practice studies. People who thought about practicing scales actually showed nearly identical brain mapping changes as those who physically played. I actually used to do this when I was practicing when I first started learning the drums, and later in my life as a professional musician back in the day. Although I didn't really realize what the heck I was doing. All I know is it actually worked. The brain builds the map from the imagination. The imagination, doing this practice every morning in the theta window, before your brain has even fully woken up its defenses, that's the power that we're working with here. The practice has 3 parts. They build on each other, so we don't want to skip any of them. So let me explain why each one matters. The moment your alarm goes off, don't grab your phone. I know, it's a habit. It can be hard for some of it. But stay with me. Sit up slowly, or stay lying down if you won't fall back to sleep. Close your eyes again, or let them just go soft and unfocused. Take 5 slow, deliberate breaths. In for 4 counts, and then hold for 2 counts. In for 4 counts, hold for 2 counts. Then out for 6 counts. This actually activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which is basically your brain's safe, no-threat signal. It keeps you in the theta to alpha state rather than snapping straight into the beta brainwave. You're essentially telling your brain, stay open for a little longer. Then just sit 2 to 5 minutes. Thoughts will come in, don't fight them. Just notice them and return to your breath. The goal isn't an empty mind. The goal is to not hand your mind over to the external world yet. You're keeping the drawbridge down. Think of it as this is the soil and you're softening the ground before you plant. Now, here's where most people get it wrong, including me when I first started. Most people, when they visualize, picture things. The house, the body, the car. And that's the least effective version of this practice. What the research points to is visualizing your identity of who you are, not what you have. Close your eyes, bring to mind 1 or 2 specific scenes where you are already the version of yourself you're working towards. Not watching yourself from the outside like a movie. Being yourself from the inside, the first person, in present tense. What do you see from your own eyes? What do you hear? How does your body feel? Your posture, your ease, your confidence? How does this version of you respond to difficulty? How do they make decisions? Make it sensory. Make it specific. A vivid, detailed first-person experience of being the person that you are actually becoming. Because your brain can't tell the difference between this and a real memory, especially in the theta window. You are literally building the neural architecture for this identity while you sit there. 3 minutes, specific scenes, first person, present tense. This is the piece that most people skip, and it's arguably the most important. Here's the thing about your subconscious. It doesn't encode experience based on repetition alone. It encodes them based on emotional intensity. Think about it. You probably remember exactly where you were during one or two pivotal emotional moments of your life. Your brain said, this matters. Encode this really deeply. Ordinary moments, even repeated ones, barely register by comparison. Emotions aren't just mental events. They're biochemical. Your entire body receives the signal. And the Heart Math Institute has documented that when you consciously generate a genuine positive emotional state, your heart rate variability shifts into what they call coherence, a state where your heart, brain, and nervous system are all synchronized. In that state, the brain is at its most neuroplastic state, which means it's most open to change. So here's what you're going to do. After your visualization, recall a real memory where you felt the emotion. You want to make that your baseline. And of course, make it a positive one. Genuine gratitude, deep pride, pure joy, something real, not manufactured. Let yourself re-enter that memory. Feel it in your chest. Let it expand. Once the feeling is genuinely present in your body, not performed, actually felt, gently bring back your visualization scene. Overlay the emotion into the vision. Hold both at the same time for 30 to 60 seconds. This is what's known as the encoding moment. You are running the neural pattern of your future self and the biochemical signal that tells your brain this is real and important. This is the right operation, emotion, vision. Feel it. Do it twice, then breathe, and then open your eyes. Now, the mistake, the one that killed this practice for me the first time I tried it, before I understood what I was really doing wrong, I was visualizing outcomes, not identity. So, in other words, I was picturing specific goals, numbers, achievements, material things, and wondering why nothing felt different. The practice felt hollow. The shift happened when I started asking a different question. Not what do I want, but who do I need to become to naturally produce those results? And then I visualized that person, their habits, their relationship with themselves, the way they handle setbacks, the energy they bring into a room. That's when the practice started to feel true. And that's when things started to shift. And by week 3, I was noticing I was responding to frustrating situations differently. Not perfectly by any stretch, but differently. The reaction time between the trigger and response had actually become longer. I had more of a say in how I actually showed up. By week 6, people in my life actually started noticing something had changed. And I hadn't even told anyone what I was doing. And by week 12, I genuinely felt like I had updated the whole operating system. Not a complete rewrite, a real measurable update. Now, I want to be honest with you. The neuroscience says meaningful, stable changes take 6 to 12 weeks of consistent practice. The first week will often feel stupid and forced. I know it did for me. You may even fall asleep during the stillness portion. I did many a time. You may feel like you're lying to yourself during the visualization. That resistance, that's just the old circuitry defending itself. Keep going anyway. The mechanism doesn't require that you believe it while it's working. Let me finish up by saying your subconscious mind is not a personality you were handed and you're stuck with. It is a system that was built by experience, and it can be updated by new experiences, deliberately, intentionally, with the right inputs and the right time, in the right state. Every morning for a few minutes, your brain actually hands you the key. Most people drop it and grab the phone instead. The practice is simple. It's not easy, especially at first, but it is simple. Stillness, vision, emotion. Keep the phone across the room, or better still, not even in the room. Stay in the window. Feed your subconscious the future self that you're building, and do it with real felt emotion so your brain knows it matters. Do that for 90 days and tell me you feel the same. If this landed for you, share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe if you want more content like this. So, this is John Williams reminding you that your vision, your beliefs, and your emotions are shaping your future right now. Choose wisely, live abundantly, keep dreaming big, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.